Two things that got me giddy about this week on Star Trek Discovery. It started with a captain's log, and did you by any chance see the USS Nog as we floated by all the ships? That is a Eisenberg class vessel. Giddy. What's up, Trek Nation, and welcome back to After the Snap. I am your host, Tasha Pierce, and this week on Star Trek Disco, we find what's left of Starfleet and the Federation and learn exactly how far behind Star Trek Disco really is. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on Season 3, Episode 5 of Star Trek Discovery, Die Trying, just keep watching. So what did y'all think of those ships? The crew's reaction was a whole mood. In fact, it was all of us as we were rolling up on this beautiful rainforest type deal. And it really just made us realize just how far the Federation and Starfleet has come over all of these centuries. Holographic containment walls? Really, y'all? Distortion fields powered by the combined energies of all the ships contained within it? Are y'all for real? Ships that can hold a crew of upwards to 2,000 people? Well, that one really wasn't a surprise to us, but Awosika was truly surprised because when she left, the first Enterprise, Captain Pike's Enterprise, held about 200, 230 people, and that was a big ship to them. We see a come up, a glow up for holographs, how they have become regular parts of the crew. For at least the second time in 2020, I saw an exocomp that was a Starfleet officer. Those little fuckers are hanging in there. And then we finally meet Admiral Nance, who many of us were wondering over the past week whether he was going to turn out to be a badmiral, you know. But Admiral Nance gave us a little exposition. We found out that the Federation and Starfleet are both remaining two separate entities, but they operate on the same hidden starbase. So we learned that. And then we also learned that there was once at least 350 Federation planets, and that has dwindled down to 38 because of the burn. We find out, along with Saru, that Kaminar joined the Federation. We find out that his species had also evolved because the holographic doctor let him know that some of his features were obsolete on the newer Kelpians, which would help explain why we don't remember seeing Kelpians as it moved through the Federation. We don't remember seeing them, but that does not mean that they weren't there. Nan also learned that her people, the Barzan, had become members of the Federation, which made both of them, I'm pretty sure, very proud. And then let's go back to those ships. We saw a descendant of the USS Voyager, and it was beautiful. She was a beautiful ship, and it also let us know that even over 10 generations, the Voyager ship and name lives on. We also got that look at the USS Nog, which is a nod to Aaron Eisenberg, who we lost this past year, and Star Trek made a tribute to him by giving us the USS Nog and also making it an Eisenberg class vessel. So rest in peace to Aaron Eisenberg. All right, more of what I liked. Admiral Nance treated the Disco crew the exact opposite of the way that Stamets treated Adira when they first met, with a healthy dose of skepticism. Now that's realistic to me. That's how people act. You don't just believe that a whole crew of people float in from 930 years ago when the last you heard time travel was a crime. You don't believe that these people mean you any good, especially after you scan the ship and find out that there's a goddamn Terran living amongst them. There's questions. You got this fear data that Vance is a little skeptical of. There's questions. And I believe that even though Admiral Nance came across as a bit of an asshole in the beginning, he was completely justified. And did you notice that in the midst of that tense conversation that Admiral Nance was having with Saru and Michael Burnham, did you notice that she was getting just a little antsy? And I mean, of course, they went into it further when they talked about her, how we could just get our hands on that data. Just another indication that she wasn't always a person who was capable of following orders down to a T anyway. But now she's having none of that. She's not able to just accept orders and follow them anymore. She's having trouble assimilating back into Starfleet after that year on her own. And I'm telling you, this all means something. This means something. Even to the point where her makeup is a darker look for Burnham. Not saying that she's going to make a turn. I don't know. But what I am saying is that she's no longer fitting into the Federation. Now, the debriefings that were held after Admiral Nance let Saru and Michael know that, hey, we're going to requisition your ship and we're going to reassign your crew after we debrief everybody. The debriefings were gold, especially Culber, because as he explained that, yeah, I was dead, then I came back to life. Oh, I was dead. I came back to life and I saw the man who murdered me and we're okay now. It makes us realize just how ridiculous that whole situation was. Like, this dude killed you and you just happened to come back to life and y'all good? I don't know where y'all from, where that happens. And I know that there's all this hope in the Star Trek universe, but you draw the line at killing me. If you kill me, there's really no coming back. There's no friendship after that. So yes, the interrogations were hilarious, but the one that intrigued me the absolute most was that of Philippa Georgiou. I wasn't sure how she would react to being interrogated or debriefed, but she pretty quickly showed that she was going to demonstrate that she was the one in charge. So she demonstrated that she was in control, and what was kind of funny about it was that the interrogator allowed her to think that she was. Now stick a pin in that. We'll come back around to it. Because out of all these balls that we've got in the air in this frenetically fast-paced episode, there is one ball that's just hanging in the air that was the most old school Trek that I saw in this episode. And that was the mission to the USS Tikhov. After much, I would say, cajoling of Admiral Nance and letting him know that, hey, what will take you guys hours and hours to accomplish, our crew can get done in a matter of minutes. So why don't you let us just go ahead and make the jump to where the USS Tikhov is, get these seeds that will create this antidote for the Keeley who are basically dying in their sick bay at the Federation of this virus that nobody knew the origin of. Let us go figure out what the origin is. Maybe that will hold the key to the cure. And of course, after all of this badgering, the Admiral says, okay, but I'm going to hold on to Saru, your captain. And the first officer can go and do this away mission, so to say. But you're going to also have to take a couple of my people with you. So long story short, Discovery proved herself. We got the seeds, only after a rocky ride, punctuated by hints of Detmer and her continuing mental health issues. So just because her and Culber had a long conversation last week does not mean that they can stick a Band-Aid on her brain and everything's all better. She is still dealing with the repercussions of this post-traumatic stress disorder that she has manifested. And in her corner, being her rock, is a Wosakan. So we see more of a dynamic of their friendship. And again, then you got some classic vintage Star Trek tropes. You've got the transporter accident, you got these cryostasis chambers, you've got this person phasing in and out because of a transporter incident, and you have a mystery that needed to be solved, and it required the collective genius of all of the members of Disco, not just Michael Burnham, not just Saru, but everybody played a part in solving this problem. So kudos. That was some real Trek. So all this shit's going on, and we know that there was a lot that this episode had to move at breakneck speed because we are presented with this issue pretty early in the beginning of the episode, and we know that somehow with all of the stuff that Starfleet has to catch up on with Discovery and not completely embracing them from the beginning, we know that we had to move at a pretty fast pace to get to the point where Discovery is making a heroic move towards the end here. Lots had to happen. What I wasn't expecting was for Nan to leave Discovery. She chose to stay aboard the Tikov and ensure that it got to Barzan. She wanted to see her home world at least one more time, and also ensure that the family who were serving as caretakers of the seed colony, she wanted to ensure that they had a proper burial. So she floats off into space alone on that ship. Now, do you for one moment feel like that's the last time we're going to see Nan? I think not. I think we will see Nan again. Not sure how, not sure when, but I don't think that this is final. I don't think it's completely final. Then there's that song. Like the song that was the interplanetary galactic jam of everybody. Everybody is listening to this song. Adira is playing it. This family aboard the Tikov is humming it and singing it. There's the security officer for Starfleet. She's like, oh yeah, that's everybody's jam. What does this song mean? What are we going to find out? How does this song play into the rest of the season? And you know that it will, because they wouldn't keep harping on it if it was not. Just like the temporal Cold War. They keep bringing it up, but dropping it. Bringing it up and dropping it. So what role will that temporal Cold War play in this season of Discovery? And if we find out about the song and we find out about the temporal Cold War and what part it plays in this season, will we learn what caused the burn? That rhymed. And I also wanted to circle round back to Georgiou and her interrogation. The interviewer, who has a name, his name is Kovich. We didn't learn that, but that is something that CBS has been so kind enough to release for us. Well, I think Kovich, or Kovich, was likely a member of the Section 31, because of course they had already scanned the ship. They knew that there was a Terran operative aboard the ship. He knew what he was up against. So I'm gonna guess that he is their top guy. He knew that asking her questions was useless because she would just lie. But he intended to use her questions to gauge her intentions and her personality. So he slipped in the extra bits of info to study her reactions. And the extra bits of info included that there was a subatomic cell variance in the Terrans that made them wicked. And Georgiou was like, no, 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 ain't nothing to that. He also told her that the Terran Empire fell. And we saw a lot of that in our trips to the Terran Empire or the Mirror Universe in Deep Space Nine. And then he also dropped this bomb on her. There had not been a crossing from the Terran Empire to this reality in over 500 years, that in the quantum realities were shifting apart. And I think at that point, it made her realize that she's stuck. She's stuck in this universe. She's stuck in this reality. Now what? The questions, however, that I noticed that Georgiou was answering, in her mind, Georgiou is prepared to make a power play. And I've made references to that in prior videos, that I believe she is going to attempt to wrangle power, because she sees that she sees the Starfleet, she sees that the Federation is kind of on its heels, and it's been on its heels for over 100 years, which means they have no clue what's going on. So if she can get a group together and she can encourage and incite unrest amongst just even a small amount of people in the Federation, she has a chance of being in control again, of being the queen of an empire again. I believe that that's where her mind is. But these things that this operative, this Section 31 officer told her, has kind of knocked her on her heels. So she thought the advantage was hers, and so did I. But that guy affected her. He affected her. Now, what happens going forward, how she might change, is something that I am very excited and interested to see, because yeah, he knocked her socks off with some of the things that he said to her, and with also the realization that she had that there's somebody on that ship that she cares about, and that's the only reason she's there. She might make excuses or other reasons in her mind as far as why she continued to stay on. Now that she's in this new world, she could have been out wreaking havoc already, but because of her relationship with Burnham, she cannot walk away. My question is, what will happen if Burnham chooses to walk away? What will happen with Georgiou then? So, those are my thoughts. And with my thoughts out the way, it's time to reveal just how many lights I see for this episode. There are 3 lights! That's right. I'm seeing 3 lights in this episode, and the reason that it is a 3-light episode for me is because there was so much going on. You damn near needed a flowchart to keep up with all the things that were happening. This organization that they gave up their entire lives for is treating them like they are outsiders. They are on the ropes. They on their heels. And they are reacting in this manner. So we are getting the pacing of their reactions. I get it. I understand. Still was a lot happening for me. I'm going to have to watch it like 3 or 4 more times. Because I'm pretty sure that I missed things. I'm pretty sure, I know that I missed things. With watching it twice, I know that I missed things. There's a lot that happened in this episode that I didn't even gloss over because so much happened in this episode. That is why it's a 3 for me. It's just like all these plots. All of these plots could have been single episodes, but they have to get to the point where we're heading into something pretty important. As far as this season is concerned, we're heading into that unification episode, which I will be talking about, unifications 1 and 2 on videos, my Stream Something Sunday segments, the week prior to unification part 3, because I got theories. I got theories. We're heading into an event. Obviously, unification part 3 is meant to be an event episode. It is not meant to be just another piece of this puzzle. Unification part 3 is meant to be a big piece. I don't know if we're going to find out what Burnham's mama is up to. I'm pretty sure Burnham is going to find out what Spock had been up to over the centuries. There's an awful lot that could be explored in that episode, but I do believe we will get closer to some answers, because that, just naming it Unification Part 3 makes it an event. It is not on accident that they called it that. So, what else do you guys think? I'm all over the place, and the shit is just, it was an off-putting episode. Not a bad episode, but just so much going on. And I'm very glad that we're going into probably something a little bit more singular, like with one plot that we can just follow. And it looks like we are with next week's episode. Next week's episode is Scavengers, and gosh, I can't wait to see what we're getting with that one. Die Trying was directed by, and I know I'm going to butcher this name, so I'm going to put it right here somewhere, and that's Maja Rivio, and I know I'm tearing it up. It was written by Sean Cochran and James Duff. So meet me back here next week for Scavengers. And if you've not done so already and you enjoy my content, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I am inviting you to be a part of my family, my tribe. We'll talk again. Also, keep your eyes open for those unification videos. Those are coming very soon as well. We're gonna make a whole vibe out of this whole unification thing. Tell you where I think this is going. Outside of that, I've got nothing else. I will catch you in the next one. And until then, I'd like for you to live long and prosper. Peace.